to my YouTube channel. Today is day 5 of my Monster Girl series, a series in which I'm going to be attempting a 31-day drawing challenge, similar to Inktober, but with a few of my own personal twists. If you'd like to hear me yap a little bit more about the rules, you can go ahead and check out my first video, which will be linked below. And with the intro out of the way, let's go ahead and see what prompt we're going to do. Alrighty, and the prompts that we have for day 5 are Cyclops and, Ghost, which we did yesterday. Maybe I should have looked at these lists a little closer. Oh well, I got pretty inspired by Cyclops right off the bat anyway, so this works out, I guess. But now that we've got our prompt, we can go ahead and move over to Pinterest to look for some inspiration. Now, initially, I was gonna go a fantasy route with this character design because the Cyclops is based off of, like, I believe Greek mythology, like Odysseus and all of that. But after taking a little scroll through Pinterest, I kept coming across a sort of decora-K, creepy, cute, pastel goth aesthetic that featured Cyclops girls anyway, and I got really inspired by that, so that's the direction that I decided to go instead. But now that I'm feeling inspired, we can go ahead and start the speed paint. So sit back, relax, and let's read a scary story together. Once upon a time, there was a very brave soldier named Odysseus, who was making his way home after the war. Odysseus had been away fighting for a very long time, and faced many scary obstacles on his way home. He sailed with a crew of many brave men, and one day, on their journey, they came across a very beautiful land. They decided to set up camp there and ate roasted goat on the beaches while they relaxed. Across the water was a land thick with forests and beautiful mountains. Odysseus was curious to meet the people who lived there and decided that he should go and see what they had to offer. The following day, Odysseus packed a fine wine to bring as a gift for whoever lived there, and sailed across to the beautiful land with a handful of his men. After a few hours of exploring and not seeing any people, they stumbled across a cave that contained penned-up sheep, as well as a large amount of milk and cheese. Odysseus assumed the men who lived here must be very rich, so they waited for the owner to return, helping themselves to milk and cheese. Right before dark herds of sheep began entering the cave, followed by their shepherd, a giant Cyclops. Angered, the Cyclops asked what they were doing there. Odysseus politely explained that they were just exploring and wanted to see who lived in this cave. The Cyclops was a cruel giant with one large eye instead of two, and he had decided that Odysseus and his men were not leaving. The Cyclops lifted an enormous boulder and blocked the doorway, then picked up 2 of Odysseus's men and ate them for dinner before lying down to sleep. Odysseus and his men mourned the loss of their companions, and Odysseus began to think of ways to get them out of this cave. The rock was far too big for them to move on their own, so he began to think of other ways to escape. The next morning, the Cyclops ate 2 more of Odysseus's men before herding his sheep out the door. Once he was gone, Odysseus ordered his men to find sharp flint and sticks, and tied them together to make a very large spear. When the Cyclops returned, Odysseus politely offered him the wine that he had brought. The Cyclops thanked Odysseus for the wine, ensuring him that since he was kind, he would eat him last. Then, after eating 2 more of Odysseus' brave men, the wine took effect, and the Cyclops fell into a deep sleep. Once asleep, Odysseus and his men lifted the large spear they had made earlier that day and struck it right into the Cyclops' eye. Enraged, the Cyclops awoke, but was unable to find the men, for he could no longer see. The following morning, the Cyclops moved the rock to allow his sheep to pass, feeling the top of each sheep to make sure no man escaped. Odysseus had anticipated this, and tied the sheep together with the men clinging to the bottom of them. Once out of the cave, the men scurried back to their boat and sailed back to the rest of the crew on the other side of the island. When the Cyclops realized the men had all escaped, he was furious. He lived the rest of his life in the beautiful mountains and forest, which he could no longer see, since Odysseus had taken his eye.
Alright, Cyclops girl, done! I think this girl adds a lot to the lineup, because we kinda had a creepy cute vibe already with the vampire and haunted doll girls, but this is like a bit more modern-y, creepy cute, like alternative fashion sort, less costumey, which I think gives the lineup a little more variety. It's also way harder to come up with a Decora character design than I thought it would be, because there is a method to how many things these people put on their bodies accessory-wise, because if you do too much, in quotations, it can look wrong. Like, I don't know how these people do it, but it was definitely a learning process. But yeah, that about wraps up my thoughts for today. If you liked the video, go ahead and give me a like, and maybe even follow so that you can see the rest of the series when it comes out. And if you have any name suggestions for our Cyclops girl, go ahead and leave those in the comments as well. I am also taking story recommendations. If there is anything in particular that you'd like to hear narrated, go ahead and leave that in the comments. And yeah, stay safe, guys.
Bye!